Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown. This week featuring Wake up, wake up. Can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up. Make it strong, please. Hey. Oh. Hey. Wake up. No, really, can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up.
Good morning, everyone. It is our first February show. What's the date today? The 4th of February. Bob always does that. I never know the date. As you can probably tell, Bob's not here. We got someone truly spectacular to fill in for him while he's on his honeymoon in Hawaii. Please welcome Kristen Becker, our first fill-in host.
Well, thank you so much. This feels so like Joan Rivers of me. I'm very excited.
Very that.
I didn't know he was on a honeymoon.
Yeah, he is on his honeymoon in Hawaii.
Exciting.
Yeah, a week in Palm Springs, 2 in Hawaii.
Wow,
Yeah.
I gotta get married.
I know, right? I have to go on a date, convince someone to hang out with me for an hour.
That's what we're doing right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is our first date since I picked you as the lucky bachelor.
Was that real? Like, did you not know it was me? Because I've been dying to know.
I had no idea.
Really? Like, there was
Right.
a part of me that was like, all right, I'm just in this in case Harrison hates everybody and doesn't want to actually have to, because I was like, maybe it's sponsored, like maybe he actually has to go on a date with somebody. And so I thought I was like the safety word, like I thought I was your safe word.
You kind of did end up being that anyway. I hope one of these people is not watching, but one of the people that was a contestant I did have a big crush on.
Ooh.
And I like knew it was that person.
Okay.
But I didn't want to pick them because I was at the time I was like I don't want to force this person to go on a date with me.
That is so forward thinking and
who
consensual.
like I would have gone on a date with if they had wanted to before that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But don't you think that that's why they were on the show?
No.
Because they wanted to go on a date with you?
No.
Well, why else would they be on the show? Because
they like to be on because they like to be on the show.
Oh, so
like because
they were star fucking you? Sorry, am I allowed to say fuck?
You are.
Okay, great.
Yeah. YouTube allows that for now.
Perfect.
Yeah. I did want to talk for a minute. I missed the big storm last weekend.
I did not.
Yeah, I was in Palm Springs for the week. I heard about the storm coming and I was kind of bummed because I've lived in Provincetown for 3 winters now. We've gotten a few like kind of minor snowstorms, and I was like waiting for a big one because I thought it would be a lot of fun, and I was super bummed to miss it, even though I was in Palm Springs having a great time. And then I heard the power went out. I was like, just kidding. This is great. I'm fine. I'm very happy to be here in Palm Springs.
It was, I love a good storm, you know, from Buffalo. We haven't got, just like you said, I was excited for it. I was ready. I charged all my extra battery packs. I got candles. I'm a prepared lesbian. Was not prepared for the power to go out at 6 a.m. Like normally we get a storm, we get the morning, we make our coffee, we get a good breakfast going. The storm will take the power out about 2. That's perfect. I'll read a book for a few hours. Look at me, I'm cultured, right? And then by the time, and then by the time I'm sick with myself, 5-6 hours later, the power comes back on.
Or go to bed,
But this one, you just got to sit with yourself for about 16 hours, and that doesn't always take.
And do you have any way of making coffee without power?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I have a grill outside. I can figure it out. A little hot water. Like I'm an entrepreneurial lesbian, but
yeah. I just imagine a lot of people in this town sitting there looking at their coffee maker, be like, "Well, that's impossible now."
Yeah. Well, I actually did a reel the last time the power went on of like how I made coffee, just in case I could help my fellow not nature people. Nature person. I camped once. I'm like, I'm a nature person.
I have unplugged coffee every morning. I use a stovetop espresso maker.
Oh, me too. But I have an electric stove.
Oh.
And I think we should not have those here. I think it should be all gas stoves only.
I love a gas stove. I also have a gas
too.
stove. I guess I was kind of shocked by how many people have electric heat in town.
I think I do. Yeah, I think there's a lot of it.
Is that the standard? Most people in town have electric heat, you think?
Older places.
Older places, gotcha. And then I thought, I was like, I don't even know if my apartment has electric heat or not.
Have you found out before today?
I've lived there for 6 years. I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
I still have no idea.
There's another storm today.
I'll figure it out next time.
If you need to be kept warm.
Hey. Yeah, it is pretty rainy in Provincetown. I think if you are traversing around Provincetown, I would be extra careful. The snow is blocking a lot of drainage.
Oh,
so
yeah,
on my way
the
here, it
full.
was like giant puddles every 2 feet. I wasn't able to go down, what is that, Court Street? Because that will get a sprinkle and that will fill up as a giant puddle. And today it was extra big.
Yeah, it's going to be wet all weekend.
Yeah.
The holes have been plugged.
How long were we in a state of snow emergency for? It was days, right?
No, I mean, I think we were in a state of like full-blown emergency for like the day. We got power back that night, right? And then we were in a state of, all right, we're all warm, but there's a shit ton to do, right? Moving the snow around. So I would say like the storm day and then a day and a half after, 2 days was kind of like cleanup. That was my experience. I don't leave the house much, but that was my experience.
You're like, I didn't leave the house the whole time. Who knows? We do have a little video that Trevor took while he was going around town. Let's take a peek at that. If you've never been to Provincetown in a snowstorm.
Here's Commercial Street.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, let's show you where Bob is right now.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
What? Say hi, Johnny.
Hi, Johnny.
What? An asshole. Just kidding. No, that's Bob in Hawaii. He's hanging with a few of our friends from the Red Inn, Johnny, Rachel, Lana. Obviously, Peter's there. It is their honeymoon. I feel like Peter's...
Wait, did they bring is this a honey orgy? Like, what, did they like bring everybody? Or like they're on their honeymoon and there's 6 of them. Yeah. And don't ask what happens at the Red Inn.
No, there's a couple good friends of ours who come into the Red Inn a lot throughout the summer who own a few restaurants in Hawaii. And they invited a few of our staff members to spend the winter there and work for them. So Rachel and Lana. Rachel is, I think she's our new general manager at the Red Inn this coming summer since Peter's left. And Lana, who is like our head food runner, are there working. Okay. So they all got together. I feel like Peter's like got to be annoyed he has to hang out with all of them. Because they're all his staff that he's managed for the past years. He's like, great, you're here.
Wait, no, but hold on. But he's no longer their boss.
Right.
This is orgy vacation. I'm telling you right now, as someone who has waited for people to quit so I can hang them, let me tell you right now, this is what happens.
An orgy moon?
This is what happens when you have pent up feelings for employees or employers.
I don't think that's the case,
I know,
unfortunately.
but this is fun. Just let me go.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling that fantasy.
You wait until there's no legal repercussions, and then you all go to Hawaii.
This is Provincetown. There's never legal repercussions.
That's true.
I know.
That's true.
To an
there
extent.
aren't any like workplace rules here.
Not many.
I've only worked for like a couple of places, and I wouldn't want to bang any of those people. So
wow.
I did do that.
Right. I just got back from Palm Springs. I actually got back into Provincetown at about 1 a.m. last night. It was a great drive from Boston. Actually, one of the highlights of my trip was after I landed in Boston, I got to have dinner with my girlfriend Alicia. Haven't seen her in a while. That was super cute. But Palm Springs was truly incredible. The one thing I forgot about Palm Springs, especially when you're only there a week, is you like instantly dry out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still recovering. I haven't been able to like open my mouth very wide because the corner of my mouth are just entirely dry, as much as I've been slathering them with some high quality skincare products. But it was a lot of fun. I got to hang out a lot with Sean, who was our guest last week. That was fun. Just like kind of bopping around drinking.
You think that had anything to do with the overall dryness, or do you think it's just the arid air?
Yeah,
I don't want to like put that. I don't want to like victim blame.
No, I mean I'm not a big drinker, but like in Palm Springs, like
no, you have to.
That's what you do.
Yeah. No, I can't do any time out west without like pruning. I'm like a dehydrated kind of big beast anyway, so like I'm always like,
oh yeah, you got to drink your water.
How do you do in altitude?
I'm a heavy breather. Like lots of mouth breathing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I can't do altitude either. I need like if I have a show in like if I go to Colorado to do a run of shows or whatever, I have to like plan a day ahead of time to get there and acclimate.
So you're not like panting during your set?
like literally physically sick. Like just
really?
Yeah, no, like the last time I went to Denver, I flew to Denver. My friend that I was going on tour with, we decided that this was going to be a healthy tour. We were going to take care of ourselves. And so we went to the gym as soon as I got there. So I fly to Denver, I go to the gym, and like maybe 8 hours later, I'm like vomiting and like nauseous, and I had to get that boost in a can, the can air.
Oh.
Have you seen the can air? Oh, it's great. Yeah, they got oxygen.
I want to use that here.
Yeah, no, you can order it. You can order it. It's just oxygen in a can. It's called Boost, and you just huff it, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, get you some.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm a very bad flyer in the fact that I'm extremely nervous when I fly. And also, I'm that person who, once I get off a flight, I can never hear for like a good 4 or 5 hours because my ears get so messed up, which is always rough when you're like, someone's picking you up at the airport and they're like, I'm like, what?
I'm gonna recommend Ativan. Okay, it's a great time.
What is that?
It's like Xanax Light.
Oh.
And I get them only for flying, and also gum. You're gonna need gum.
The gum doesn't work.
The gum doesn't work.
No.
I can't help you.
I know, but Ativan sounds great. I was also in like the row from hell on my flight back yesterday. I was in the aisle seat, which I thought I preferred, but I think moving forward, I'm a window seat kind of girl from now on.
It's all
Window
about whether
seat?
you pee a lot or not.
I don't.
Exactly.
Right. I thought I liked having that little extra like lean room into the aisle, but then you just get bumped every 5 seconds.
You do.
But my row, three-person row, right? The woman against the window was the only person on the entire flight who kept the window open the entire time, and it was
the actual window. How did you survive?
The shade, and it was torture because it was just like, because everything else was so dark, it was just like one of these lights directly on the side of me. So I'm trying to sleep, but I'm like this. I have my hat like this the half the flight.
You were dropping all the hints.
I really was.
Was she like reading a book, or was she afraid of the dark?
She was sleeping. And I was so mad that she was able to sleep with that glaring light.
What was
in
the
her
person
face.
in the middle doing?
Ooh, that was the real.
Trimming their toenails.
Almost. I wouldn't have been surprised. That was the real torture throughout the flight. This woman, she sits down on the flight. She starts like on her phone, just like loudly playing TikToks, and
no headphones.
The flight attendant comes by. We're calling them flight attendants now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mistress of the air.
Mistress of the air. She was like,
wait, no, that assumes they're all ladies. Sorry, I don't want to
Right.
erase male flight attendants.
I feel like they wouldn't mind though. Yeah.
Mistress of the air it is.
Right. So the flight attendant comes by and like, oh, miss, would you like a pair of complimentary headphones? Like we have those. And she goes, why?
No.
So she goes, oh, well, just because you're playing loudly from your phone. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she comes back, gives her headphones. And then like 5 minutes later, the flight attendant goes by, be like, did the headphones not work? And she's like, you can't play that. And it was literally just that the entire time. Like they came back by with the beverage cart and the flight attendant was like, oh, what could I get you? She goes, that.
Whew.
And the flight attendant goes, I can't tell what you're pointing at, which I love to do as well. At the like, if someone's at the bar at the Red Inn, this is gonna get me fired. Not fired, but they're gonna be like, ugh. Someone will be like, I'm like, is there something I could do for you? I'm like,
wait, so that's poor bar etiquette?
I just like to be spoken to like I'm a human being.
Okay, you know what? I would love to talk to you about this
Okay.
because I feel like I've always been fairly good at bar etiquette. I mean, better now that I'm a grown up and I've matured in my senses and all that jazz. But I always thought like this, like kind of pointing while you're busy, was the appropriate way to not really need your attention, but to let you know in case, because you don't want to assume I'm an alcoholic and refill my drink, right? Even though I am definitely, you know.
I hear you.
So I thought that this was like a polite.
I guess that when I'm busy, it's fine. But if I walk up to you and go, "Oh, would you like another drink?" and you go,
"Oh yeah, no, that's
I'm like,
fucking rude."
What?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was just more of that throughout the entire flight, and I even caught the flight attendant eye rolling and making these faces like.
At least there was that.
And I was just like,
at least you had that.
Right. And I'm like, I wanted to be like, I work in a similar industry and I entirely understand. But
I was wondering, like, in the, because if they just give you JetBlue headphones, they don't fit into the iPhone anymore.
Right.
So what is, because maybe that was the, I don't know why I'm defending the middle aisle trash,
No,
but I am here.
She was the worst. Don't.
I'm sorry.
But,
I'm trying to offer a balanced perspective for someone who's not here. I'm a feminist. There's a lady. She's being attacked.
So I have my AirPods that I used with my phone. I was mostly listening to podcasts, but I was for a second. I was like, oh, I should watch one of these movies. They had a few things I was interested in, and I almost asked for a pair of headphones. But they were handing out these headphones, and then the headphones didn't fit in the headphone jack on the screen. Like their headphones they were giving out for the screen on their flight, and I was looking around watching everyone hold their headphones in. Like it was like a loose fit or something.
Oh.
And I was like, poor work, American Airlines.
Been there before. Okay.
Yeah. Might want to think that through next time, American Airlines. Yeah. Something happened this week. Let's talk about Whoopi.
All right, yeah, let's talk about Whoopi. Karen, you mean Karen?
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg, aka Karen Johnson.
Right.
Like she Karen'd to the max this week. Like,
so on The View this past week, the Holocaust was brought up, and Whoopi took a lot of flack for basically saying that the Holocaust wasn't a race issue. It was like an authoritarian because it was white people against white people. It was about power and control. And she took a lot of flack from that. And I understand that her worldview as a Black woman, when it comes to thoughts about race, she sees the Jewish people and the German people as being white people, the German people oppressing Jewish people, and she took
white on white crime. I'm
right. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say
this is white on white crime. But is she acknowledging that she changed her name to Goldberg and that maybe that wouldn't pan out well in this discussion?
That does add a little bit of, right.
And then you throw in Ted Danson, and I don't know if he was old enough to remember his blackface, which he thought he could do because he was banging Whoopi, supposedly, but I think they're both beards. Whatever.
I didn't know anything about that.
Really?
No.
Oh, yeah, no, you got to Google 90s Ted Danson, Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, no, they were a couple. They were getting it on, apparently. And honestly, like, coincidentally, that was right around the time that everybody thought Whoopi might be gay, because she was kind of always so vague about it, right? And they went to an event, and, he was banging a black chick, so he could do blackface, and he did. And they didn't get canceled. So I think it's ironic that they caught up with her, but here you are. That's what happens.
I understand, and Trevor made a good point. She kind of like zoomed really far out to like see it as like in its core about, rather than it being about race, being about people hurting other people, which I get wanting to do that because then you can relate it to more things. But at the same time, when you zoom so far out, you lose the true lived experiences and the true trauma that people have lived with.
It's erasure.
Yeah.
It erases.
Right, exactly.
It erases their experience. But on the flip side, having this discussion is important. And if Whoopi gets canceled, she's not going to lose her house. Whoopi's fine.
Right.
And
suspended for 2 weeks. That's a vacation.
Yeah, it's a vacation, and she's gonna have tons of money, and she's gonna be fine. And I like the idea of expanding conversations, but and I like the idea of allowing someone to apologize and learn and move forward, right? Well, isn't that what we can't cancel everybody?
Well, that's my hope. I hate having this conversation about like cancel culture, but I do think it is. I think there is a point where people should be canceled, but I do think people should be allowed to, when people step outside the box of what's acceptable, I think you should be allowed to then have people teach you and explain to you what was wrong and learn and grow and apologize. And I don't think you should be like, you said something wrong, you're canceled, because that box is always moving and it's hard to maneuver. And then you kind of prevent people from wanting to have conversations, which is detrimental to moving forward and growing and being better, smarter people. But I do think there comes a point where people do or say things that hurt people, and then they refuse to acknowledge the fact that they've hurt people.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where people should be canceled.
I agree. I think we need that middle bit, right? Like otherwise you've got this polarization happening where like you say something wrong, you're on that side, and now we're on this side, and there's nothing. The problem is like it just becomes a switch, right?
Right.
Like, you were good, now you're bad, right? And like, I need more of like a dimmed lighting,
Yeah.
right? Where like somewhere in the middle, let's look at it from this perspective.
Every person is good and bad.
What?
Well,
Perfect.
not
I'm
me.
perfect. We're great. What are you talking about?
And I
It's
always
like every person's a human, and they're gonna fuck up.
And I always go back to this example, which Kevin Hart, who I think should fully be canceled.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tell me more.
He tweeted, and this is always the example I use. He tweeted, like, "Oh, if I ever caught my son playing with a dollhouse, I'd smash it over his head."
Did he just tweet it, or did he do a bit about it too? Because I know there was some. Maybe it was Cat Williams.
I don't know if it was a bit as well, but I do know that it was a tweet, and he like apologized without any acknowledgement of why he was apologizing. Like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I tweeted that," but in a world,
but I will still hit that.
but like in a world where like children who kind of buck gender norms are abused and traumatized by adults, I think to tweet that is extremely bad, and you're further endangering children. And then for fucking to go on Ellen and be like, I don't know why everyone's so upset about that. Like Ellen is allowed to like absolve any slight against queer people, like she's like the queen of everyone, which I feel like I'm glad that facade is crumbling lately.
I'm pretty happy that facade is crumbling.
And not once again, not that Ellen is canceled. Ellen has done so much amazing things, but like she's not a perfect person. And I think this is one of the things that I would have loved for her not to have done.
And she also doesn't get to speak for all of us. Yeah, but then you got to go into that. Now I'm going to sound like the conspiracy theory lesbian, but then you got to go into that Illuminati level, right? Where they're like, hold on, wait. They're like, well, Kevin Hart is one of our main money-making clients, and like we gotta
I wonder if they work for the same studio.
I bet you they might be connected. I wouldn't be surprised. Or they have the same agent, or they have some sort of representation on a level where they were like, Ellen, could you just
please appease the gays.
No, I mean, but then you also go to, I think the problem I had with that is that Ellen had an opportunity to educate Kevin Hart on why.
Exactly.
And
that's
didn't take
my
that
point.
Opportunity,
That's
right?
exactly what I mean.
Please have them on. Have that conversation, and then explain to them how kids do actually get beat and abused, and what life is like growing up as a queer youngster, and have that conversation with him. Not just like, I know, I'm friends with you. It's almost like Kevin Hart did I've got a gay friend.
Right.
And we were all like, oh, well, in that case.
And Ellen was like, and it's me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I wonder.
And I've got a black friend. Look at us. We're progress.
Right. I like wonder if, and I hope I don't get canceled with this, but I wonder if
I'll get canceled
because women who buck gender roles as children are often, they're tomboys. It's like a little more allowed, where like as a very femme child, it was not allowed. As a very femme little boy, looking back, I felt like I was often in danger. I was scared of adults in spaces where those adults were supposed to be protecting me and keeping me safe. So I wonder if Ellen didn't have the experience as a child who is unsafe because they buck gender norms.
I mean, but that's misogyny, right? Like the misogyny is that the masculine is better than the feminine, regardless if you got an innie or an outie, right? Like I definitely, generally, not in P-Town so much, but in the real world, I operate with a bit of dude cred, right? Because of a masculine presence. And I date very feminine, hot women. And I would see the way people would talk to them. And I would also see the way they would talk to my effeminate gay men friends, right? And it's gender aside, it's masculinity that I think gets the pass more than femininity, and it's extra bad if femininity is seen in an outie like you have. I'm assuming I've never seen your parts.
We still got about half hour of the show left.
Oh, keep it going.
Speaking of Ellen,
yes,
our good friend Murray Bartlett was on Ellen this week, which is really exciting. He's the second best daytime talk show hosted by queer people after us.
Wow. I honestly, like, I saw him at Herring Cove in his sexy car, and like, I am not a put a baby in me kind of lesbian,
right?
But he would like just smile, and I was like, oh my God,
you're like,
have my ovaries.
Oh my God.
Like, please.
Oh my God, I do the same thing.
Maybe it's a tag team approach. approach.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll get him with charm. You get him with looks.
Perfect. Are you saying I don't have
I'll
charm?
run
Fine.
the camera.
Are you saying I don't have charm?
No, you definitely have charm,
Great,
but you're
great.
hot, so you should use that to your advantage. And I don't have much. I don't think that he's interested in, so it'll be a twofold tag team.
We'll see.
You don't want to share Murray Bartlett? Fine, that's fine.
But super excited for Murray. I'm so like his star was always huge, but I'm so glad it's growing and shining brighter than ever.
Yes.
Every time I seem to open my computer, he's like attached himself to another project. He's getting so much incredible work. He's being acknowledged for his incredible work in The White Lotus. Nominations are coming, I suspect. Yeah, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun being on Ellen.
Yeah, no, that's a big get.
Yeah.
We're all like, Ellen, boo, but you had our friend on, so
Yeah.
okay.
Good and bad. This
Good
is
and
what
bad.
we're talking about.
It is the human experience.
What was it? Oh, speaking of blackface, I'm glad you brought this up.
Wow. That's the little clip I don't need to go
Right.
viral. Speaking of blackface, I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, no, it was there was talk about it this past week. There was yet another fucking season of Drag Race came out.
I don't watch Drag Race.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
No, I
Because
completely understand.
I
I'm
live
getting to
in
the point
Drag
where I'm like, I
Race.
can't keep up.
I like if I didn't live here, I might watch Drag Race, but it feels a little redundant.
Yeah.
Like it just feels a little bit
Yeah.
like, all right, sorry,
Right.
no disrespect to him.
But this one was UK versus the world. It premiered.
Oh.
So it's kind of like All Stars,
Lord.
but there's contestants from America, Canada, Holland,
So it's Miss
Thailand.
Universe Drag Race?
Kind of,
Okay,
exactly.
all right.
And a few contestants from the UK. And I do love the show. I think it's really incredible. It puts a lot of really incredibly talented queer performers who would typically be like working for dollars down at the club on a worldwide stage where
Yes.
they're making the money that they should be making. But the reason there was a bit of talk about blackface is one of the contestants did this look. It was entirely not monochromatic. It was black and white, which is not monochromatic, I guess. But
These are all terms I don't understand. These are fashion or something.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
but they painted their face black.
Okay. And they were white.
They're a white person.
Okay.
They painted their face black, the color black.
Okay.
And their look was black and white. So they basically, and a lot of people were saying that was blackface. And I was confused by that because I understand blackface to be like representing yourself as a different race, representing yourself as a black person to ridicule, poke fun at.
Did it get minstrelly? Like did they do like exactly white? Like was it
Was
it just a black face?
it was black, the color black, and then it had like they had white contacts and white lips, but the outfit was entirely black and white, and their face was black and white. It didn't read to me as they were trying to represent themselves as being a different race.
You know what it reads to me as? They
What?
were trying to represent themselves as someone who got to be a viral clip this week. Because they had a choice. They had a choice on their face, and they could have gone white, hard
Mhm.
white with black, and they could have
There.
done that,
Well-
right? And they didn't, and they knew, and now we're here talking about it, and it fucking worked.
I'm so glad you said that because when things like this happen, I'm like, I understand that my perspective is as a white gay man, which is a limited perspective, especially with issues like this. So I kind of looked around to see the voices of people of color and what they were saying about it. And Bob, the drag queen, said exactly that. And Bob said, like, I'm looking at them. They're not representing themselves as trying to represent themselves as a different race. But maybe when you're making this decision, think about whether you want to be the center of this conversation.
Right.
And I think that's interesting that you made that same point. But I don't think they did it on purpose to be.
You're like, I don't think they're that smart.
Kind of that. But yeah.
That's exciting. Bitch released, I want to talk about this. You know,
Yes,
Bitch?
of course.
Do you love Bitch?
I do.
I do. I feel like I could tell by the flannel. I was
Mhm.
like, you're going to be a lesbian.
Mhm.
So yeah, Bitch releases a new album today
Mhm.
called Bitchcraft on Kill Rock Stars. And she has
What is Kill Rock Stars? Is that
It's a label.
Okay.
It's like
perfect.
an indie record label. Yep.
Mhm.
And she has some great bangers
Mhm.
that are coming out this summer. And I'm super excited. And I want the gay boys to remix them. Please do your
Andrew?
thing. Do your thing. Her latest song that just came out is fantastic. The video just dropped. Did I send it to you?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it have like
Mhm.
like dance vibes, like a good remix, and you're
Yeah.
like, I can hear this because
Totally.
it's got feelings about like people broke your heart and like I see a gay boy at tea dance.
I need to have
sad.
less of those feelings.
What's that?
I need to have less of those feelings.
Somebody broke your heart, I will kill them.
No,
Okay.
It's hard to get your heart broken in
When you're dead
Provincetown.
inside.
Exactly. From living in Provincetown for 6 years. Do you know if Bitch is going to be here this summer at all?
I'm sure.
Mhm.
I feel like because I think I know she's touring with the album release and all that, so I'm assuming she'll be around.
Yeah, it seems like she loves Provincetown.
Yeah, she's been hanging out.
She was here with Jonathan Cameron Mitchell last.
She was,
Mhm.
and she's hanging out with old Faith Holloway there. So I think they're doing a little lesbian smoochy smooch. So
We love
they're in
to see it.
Boston. So yeah, we love to see it. We love to see it.
Is that where Bitch lives?
Unsure. Bitch lives on the road, like many an artiste.
The dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
I went back to the gym this week.
that's impressive.
Sorry, did I just pivot you out of something?
No,
You were
that's
looking-
great. I like fully planned on it, like looked on what gym I should go to, because I had been going to the gym with my friends Sunny and Joelle, and I was like, what gym should I go to while I was in Palm Springs? And guess which one I went to?
Which one?
None of them.
Ooh.
Didn't even bother.
It's his new gym. It's all the rage. It's called The Bar.
Exactly. It's called Margaritas at the Bar.
It's all arm workouts.
Right.
Yeah, no, I got the baby COVID
Mhm.
end of December, and prior to that, I'd been semi taking care of myself in a
Mm-hmm.
way. And to be clear, not for any physical appearance, specifically like for my brain. Like I like to go to the gym,
Yeah.
work it out, right?
I learned that because in the past few weeks getting back to the gym, I learned that it does help your brain.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
really it's good for the anxiety, and so
Mhm.
I do it that way. And so I was like, you know what, I call this Focus February. I'm a lazy blob in January, and then when February comes around, I'm like hyper focused, and so I go back to the gym, and I couldn't do a third of what I did before the COVID. That's the one sneaky thing.
I had a similar experience, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
I just want to say I love that you like sit with a pint of Haagen-Dazs watching everyone else start and fail their New Year's resolutions, and you're like, I'll kick it off in February.
yeah, no, 100%. I'm not crazy.
Right.
Because I usually have Sandy Claus shows for Christmas.
Right.
And so I usually tour when it's not a pandemic.
Mhm.
And so by the time January comes around,
You're
I'm
like,
like, I'm
break time.
beat,
Mhm.
time out. Yeah. And also I'm just going to sit here and get fat while you guys
Yeah.
all make plans.
Lasagna and Haagen-Dazs.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And then come February, go to it. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that I don't think people are talking about a lot, because it messes with your brain. Like,
Mhm.
if you've been kind of working towards being healthy or working towards anything, and then you go back to it. Oh, you were sick for 2 weeks, and you go back to it, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't do a mile.
Mhm.
Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I was running 5Ks like 3 or 4 days a week before I got COVID at the end of
I
December.
would see you sometimes. I'd watch
Yeah.
it. That's cute.
And I had like
Your shorts are short.
very
They're so short. It really informed me a lot about who you are as a person.
Well,
Because
it's-
I didn't take you as a short runner guy.
Oh,
I
please.
understand why. It's nice. But when I saw it, I was like, okay. How is he single?
I often talk about how my perspective changes living in Provincetown, and that's a way. I'm like, those shorts aren't short. But
I'll show you.
I guess in the real world, those are short. Exactly. But then I a fairly respectable time running my 5Ks pre-COVID. And then I had COVID 2 weeks later. I was like, I'm going to get back out there. And I ran from my house, which is kind of in the area of Stop and Shop, to Route 6 and stopped and almost died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So be nice to yourself if you're recovering.
Yeah.
Odds are in this town you have just recovered.
Right. Yeah, it did seem like at the end of December, everyone had it.
Yeah.
You were either a Christmas COVID or a New Year's COVID.
Yeah. I was I was the week in between COVID.
Ooh, that's the
what a
worst.
lame time to get COVID.
I was a Christmas COVID.
Oh, that's for you.
Yeah.
That's nice. What a present.
It was okay.
We made it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get canceled for making light of a pandemic, aren't we?
No.
Okay.
I was sick. It was awful.
Yeah, I was sick.
I'm
too.
still dealing with the repercussions of it. My heart goes out to everyone who's had COVID
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it is tough, whether it's mild or not. And I know there's a lot of talk around Omicron being mild, but I don't think that it is.
No, well, I think that's what is it mild or is it different, right? And that's where I'm like, oh, this is actually having more of a long-term like the physicality of it and the exhaustion, but then also just kind of the mental fuckery that happens when you're like, oh, I'm not getting back to myself. I'm not, that part. So
This past week,
did your computer just die on you?
yeah. Let me open my notes on my phone.
Is it
real
because you're
quick.
on a plane all night?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here we go. The Food and Wine Festival announced this past week that their theme for this upcoming Food and Wine Festival, which is the first weekend in November this coming year. The first one was this past November, and it was truly a lot of fun. Very busy in town.
Where did that? Who's behind that? What's the driving force of that?
Matt King.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a really incredible job. It was so nice to see a weekend in town that would typically be pretty slow, be super lively. Town Hall was packed for their tasting. A lot of restaurants in town were busy. I went to Harbor Lounge on that Saturday of the Food and Wine Festival, and you could barely move in the room.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's
it was
exciting.
great. But they did announce their the first one wasn't themed. I think it was themed like, let's do
Food
this.
and wine. Yeah.
But the second one is going to be themed as Portugal.
Oh,
which
that's
I think,
nice.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect first theme for the Provincetown Food and Wine Festival because we have an incredible Portuguese population here in town. Portugal makes some really incredible wines, and I'm excited to taste a lot of them coming November.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, put it on your calendar. Make sure you're here for it.
November.
Yeah.
Save the date.
There's also a couple really exciting things happening next weekend in addition to Valentine's Day.
What?
The Crown's got some really incredible programming.
I'm going to tell jokes. And Hutchinson and I, it's called Love Bites, right? Because we're edgy. It's going to be at the Crown and Anchor. And I think it's Anne's first solo big show. And so Anne and I are going to give our perspective, our lady perspectives on love.
I love that.
And life at the Crown, 7:30 on Friday. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it.
I think it's Saturday. I'll be on the stage at the Crown and Anchor.
Will you? What will you be doing?
So they're going to have a variety show, Strangers in the Night, on Saturday night. It's a really killer lineup. I'm performing. It's kind of all the P-Town classics and favorites. Yeah. Danny Marandola, Kaya Cristal, Joel Santos, John Richardson, Peter Donnelly, Mackenzie.
Brittany
Rolfs. I think that's her first time performing at the Crown, which I'm super excited. We've seen her. She's been on our show. She's performed with us a couple times during trivia. She does Tin Pan and the Post Office. I recently saw her in her show that she did down Cape. It was Allison.
How was that?
It was so amazing.
I was supposed to go and then COVID.
I don't know if it was community theater, but I love going to see theater where it's a lot of people passionate about being on stage, passionate about performing, but with all varied skill level, coming together, doing what makes them incredible, and putting together something really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like, and I missed that so much. Obviously, having not seen anything on a stage in quite some time, but let alone, I used to do a lot of theater in that kind of vein, and it was so nice to see it.
I will say, as a post-pandemic performer, I kind of started going back out in the fall, and the audiences are happy to be there. It is something where I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot easier than it used to be, at least for right now. At least for right now, you're all so excited to have been let free into the world.
But I hope that's kind of a permanent change. I feel like a lot of people go to see things, like when you go to see theater, you go to see stand-up, you go to see, it's like you're there to enjoy. Yes. And a lot of people, I feel like, get to the point where I'm here to judge.
No, there's a lot of that in stand-up where, for a few reasons, right? Like when you start talking about comedy, when you make somebody laugh, you're evoking a spontaneous reaction from them that they didn't plan, right? And so that's vulnerable, right? And some people don't like their teeth and they don't like their laugh, right? Because it's annoying. So people will come into stand-up shows go ahead, try to make me laugh. You can't. You're like, motherfucker, you just paid a lot of money. Why are you here, right? But I will. Watch me. Here I go. I'm a pro, right? But I do feel like post-pandemic, there has been a little bit more of wow, aren't we lucky that we can be here and that these people can give us their craft? Please, young lady, tell us your dirty jokes. It felt nice. I like it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's in so many things. It's the same thing at restaurants. People go and people sit down and start talking to them. I'm like, wow, they are dead set on being miserable while they're here. Which is not fun to wait on. And
I think it's worse than being dead set on it. I think they're oblivious to the fact that they are. And I think that's the scarier part. Oh, you don't even know you hate your life.
Right.
Have a martini, that'll fix it.
Yeah. Or make it worse. Interesting how it'll do that. We have an interview with... What's happening here? Saturday. Oh, yeah. Also, the Rainbow Connection is happening here. Broken Hearts Club. Andrew Haig is going to be DJing. I'm sure Andrew's going to be DJing at the Crown a bit next weekend as well with all their stuff they've got open. Huh? No way.
Ooh, live sex. I love a good live sex show.
Mike Flanagan is going to be here as well, playing along with Andrew. That's so cool. I'm so excited for that. But that is the Broken Hearts Club, 7 to 10, Saturday night, right here. Friday night
is Southern Fried Saturdays.
Oh, right.
With Tom Sharp and line dancing, which I do. Do you know how to line dance?
No, I would love to learn though.
Where are you from?
Connecticut.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't teach it there.
No.
In Louisiana, growing up, you like line dancing was part of physical education.
Really?
Like it was gym class. Yeah, shit. You know, I learned how to two-step.
I can do the Cotton Eye Joe. Is that line dancing?
For gay guys, yeah.
Like for gay guys and like white girls, annoying white girls. Yeah,
a little bit. But yeah, line dancing is a good time. I think it's
No, I went to Denver a lot, like probably 10 years ago to visit friends and friends' family, and I would always go to Charlie's, which is like a gay country bar, and they would always have line dancing, and I would just like sit there watching and be like, I want to do that.
It's so like I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the gay bar there is called Central Station. It's an old train terminal. It literally looks like abandoned because that's how you have to have your gay bars in Shreveport. Like no one's in there,
so no one will come.
Exactly.
Right.
And one side is country, and the other side is dance. Right, so you always had this mingling of different queers. Cute. You go over here and there'd be all line dancing and like I don't know, line dancing to me like breaks racial. Like it's the one thing that white people in black, like everybody line dances in a weird thing. I don't know, I like it a lot.
And it's fun. It's like it's something that regardless of your skill level, you can do it.
Yep.
And I remember when I went to Charlie's and there was this one guy who was wearing like a cutoff white tee, cowboy hat. He had this gorgeous beard, and it was so charming because he was like kind of helping everyone, dancing with everyone, and I like fell in love with him while watching.
And that's kind of what Tom does.
Yeah,
he's got a little thing. He instructs everybody.
That's so
and
cute.
he kind of does the count with them. He does the dance with them because that is the one way to learn is you just have to get into it and do it. And I would recommend if you have any interest in line dancing, you come to it, but come now. Because after he does this a time, everyone's going to have it figured out. Right now, everyone's stumbling on each other, and it's a good time. So this is a great time to come in and learn with everybody and grow together.
Is Nicole going to be doing her fried chicken special? Ooh, Nicole in the kitchen here at the Provincetown Brewing Company is going to be making her fried chicken special next weekend. So be sure to stop in for some of that too.
Love it.
Yeah. This past week, Bob sat down with Bill from Towny Bagels. It was tons of fun. I got a bagel.
I don't know about Towny Bagels.
Oh, Towny Bagels is this super cute bagel shop in Palm Springs. The owner, Bill, watches our show, loves it. He sponsored a couple of our shows, and I made sure to get some bagels while I was in Palm Springs.
Nice. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bob sat down with him and chatted with him, so let's take it away with that.
Good morning, everybody. Wake Up is still in our sister city of Palm Springs.
It's like 10 minutes.
I'm sitting down and chatting with Bill Sanderson, who's the owner of Towny Bagels here in Palm Springs.
This is a ticker now?
He's also a Massachusetts native.
Oh.
He's been going to Provincetown ever since he was 6 years old.
Yes, that's the first time ever.
Yeah.
Thanks for making some time to come and chat with us.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Well, I'm originally from Massachusetts. I was born in Woburn, but my parents owned a house in Chelmsford, Mass. So from that hospital, I went directly to Chelmsford as a baby and grew up there for 22 years in Chelmsford, which is right on the Nashua Lowell line there.
And your family would go to P-Town in the summer?
Yeah, well, we had a great uncle, Winslow, my father's uncle, who owned 300 acres in Bourne, and it was a private fishing reserve that he would manage and rent out. So we would go down there and visit him in the summer on weekends, and then we'd drive out to P-Town for the day, do day trips. So I was there at 6 years old. So
and almost every summer since?
Just about, yeah. I mean, other than the time we've been here at our store where we couldn't get away, I've definitely tried to get to P-Town at least every year for a week. I'm missing it because we haven't been able to go back. I was able to go back 3 years ago. Was my last time there, but I'm hoping to get back again soon. This summer, hopefully, we will be post something and a little more travel, and we can, things stabilize everywhere in the world. We'd be fine.
You got to keep us posted on your trip.
I will definitely do that.
When did you leave Massachusetts for San Francisco?
That was 1999. At the time, we were living in Norwood. We had a house in Norwood, and I had the bug. I wanted to live someplace else. Once in my life, I didn't want to say it was only from Massachusetts. So Andy said, well, okay, put your resume out there, and all these headhunters, because it was the beginning of the .com first bubble, all these headhunters were hounding me. So I ended up taking a job in downtown San Francisco for a company called NBCI, which was NBC's internet arm. So we went to San Francisco. We had a house in the Balboa Park District, which is at the end of the K and the L line there. a little fun fact, our next door neighbor was Mary Ann White, which was Dan White's wife, who killed Moscone in Harvey Milk. She was a very nice neighbor. It was just a surprise that it was like, of all things, a gay couple to move into this little neighborhood next to her, but it was fine. It was just really, really, interesting.
Mm-hmm. San Francisco is where you started BigMuscleBear.com?
No, we actually started that before. In Norwood, we started it. Actually, no, you're right. Andy had started it in Norwood, but it really wasn't going anywhere till we got to San Francisco and he could work on it a lot. Mm-hmm. In Big Muscle and Big Muscle Bear, he started that. And I was still working at a downtown, not NBCI, because when they tanked, I jumped over to a company that did the billing software for PG&E, with a private company, and I jumped over there. And then I got tired of doing that. And I said to Andy, I said, well, I see I could make some revenue by selling banner ads for our websites because we had so much traffic. And I did that, and I was making more than my salary selling banner ads to our own site. So I did that for a number of years. And then when the 2008, when the economy tanked, we were looking at, okay, I'm 50, he's 47. We should start thinking about where we want to retire. So we went to Florida, looked around, liked it, but then we came here, we loved it. And the heat, everybody's, the heat, it's 120 degrees out. And it's like, well, I come from New England where it's minus 10. Mm-hmm. It's just a mindset. You just have to say, okay, it is. I mean, other than the fact that you can burn your legs off in your car when you hit your seats, in the summer. But other than that, I mean, I don't find it any different than I don't have to shovel sunshine. That's all I said. Yeah. I don't miss the snow. I mean, I grew up in it. Don't miss it at all.
I mean, wherever you are, you're trapped inside for part of the year. Yeah. Like now, we're inside in New England. Mm-hmm. Here, I imagine you want to be inside during the summer when it's 130 degrees outside. Yeah, you don't go out during the day, or you plan around that. And, it's another thing. I mean, you watch your electric bill go up, but in the winter, you watch your heat bill go up on the East Coast. So it's kind of like a yes and no thing. And who loved bagels the most? Like, where did this idea come from?
Oh, Andy started the bagel business. What happened was he always wanted to bake. So when we first moved here, he challenged himself. Every Sunday, we had a core coffee group who would meet every day at 9 o'clock at Coffee North, KOFFI, Coffee North. And we would meet there every day around 7 to 9. And every Sunday, he would bake bagels. For a year, he baked bagels till he perfected them. And then he said to me, well, let's go sell them at the farmer's market. So we got our license and we went to the farmer's market. We sold them there for 4 years. We had a following. People loved us, the bagels anyway. And then we started reaching out. We made some breads. And he said to me, I want to open a shop. And I'm going, all right. And I begrudgingly said no. Then he talked me into saying yes, which I did. And we sold a piece of property on Hawaii. We had a little condo in Maui. We sold that to pay for the build out of the store. This was a restaurant that's Talakapaki, which was a Mexican restaurant. They moved over to a bigger space, and they left this place, and we heard about it. We just ran here, and we saw it, and we got the lease, and our landlord's wonderful.
You got some great neighbors in the tool shed.
Yeah, we have SF Leather next door, then we have gear, and then we have the tool shed.
It's like Leather Daddy Alley.
Yeah, really. Yeah, yeah. They do have a leather, the Palm Springs Leather Order of the Desert has their big party here, and they wall off the back parking lot. I actually sell hot dogs for donation. We make the buns here, but the hot dog is buy, and I cook them and heat them, and I sell them for $2 a piece as a suggested donation. And we donate that money to the Mr. Leather Palm Springs to help pay for his ticket to IML. So we do that. So we kick in a few $100 extra. So it's about $400 or $500 I donate.
You said this is your 6th or 7th season here?
This is in the store, this will be our 6th in August. Mm-hmm. There was a year build out, so it's really 7, but it'd be 6.
And you've really become like a hub for the community here. There's a line out the door every day.
I know. I feel so bad. It's like I wish I could figure that out, but I don't have to. We didn't plan on that. We didn't plan on just being the only bagel shop in town. I mean, there are other places that sell bagels, but we're the only ones that boil them like New York, okay? And I'm not saying we're the best bagel, but we are the true traditional New York process.
Right.
I mean, some people like the big fluffy bagels, and people always, well, why don't you make them all day? Well, we're not in New York. I'm not making them 24 hours a day.
Right.
It's just not possible.
It's a little bit more work than running a website from your living room.
Yes, lots of moving parts. I mean, Andy loves it. I mean, he loves the baking part of it. He's slowly starting a book. And just like Andy is the other owner, and he's the one that kind of kicked us off. I mean, I'm an owner too, but I have to give him the feather in the cap for starting the process. I kind of pick up where he leaves off because we complement each other very well in our skill sets. Where he's methodical in some areas, and I'm methodical in the other areas. And sometimes we drive each other crazy because we're on different wavelengths. But we're all, at the end of the day, it's all for the good.
Like all great working relationships,
yes.
right? Right, Harry?
Yes. I want to see the outtakes of you two in the background. Punching it out.
We get along famously.
That never happens. The camera's shaking. No.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. It's been really nice to get to know you out here on this trip.
Yeah, well, thank you for stopping in, and I definitely want to be sponsor of a couple more of your shows. I know we're on this coast, but you know, my heart, like everybody says, once you go to Provincetown, there's a piece of it that stays with you, and it has me. It will always feel like home whenever you're there. It's just something. It's in the air. It's not in the water. It's in the air. You know, it is a very special place on this planet. I mean, I've gone to a lot of gay places, and even we're gay here, but Provincetown, I mean, as much as we're a big gay mecca here, it has a certain. It's the sea air. You're at the end of the earth, technically, you know, and it just has that magic onto its own. And yeah, I'll send you some pictures of me from a white party in 1978. That's a whole other story.
If you're ever in Palm Springs, come say hi to Bill and Andy at Towny Bagels. What's the address here?
650 East Sunny Dunes Road.
Only closed on Tuesdays?
We're closed every Tuesday, but open right now 6:30 to noon. And call ahead of time the day before if you want more than a dozen bagels and special flavors, because we will put them aside for you, and you'll.
And you ship them too.
Yeah, we do.
We ate them for a week straight when you mailed them to us.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Cameraman Harrison. Thank you very much.
See you guys soon.
That was so much fun sitting down with Bill from Towny Bagels. If you're in Palm Springs, be sure to get breakfast there. The coffee's phenomenal. The bagel's delicious. I highly suggest the chive cream cheese.
Okay, I'm on board. Like, if you look at me if you say it like that, I highly suggest it. Okay, yeah, I want anything you say I should try with that face on.
And then right next door, you can go to the Tool Shed. They were open.
Now you're talking my language.
They were open at 10, and they had people in there drinking at 10. That's what I love, Palm Springs.
Oh wait, it's not a tool shed.
No.
Oh.
I think they're speaking of a different kind of tools that I don't think you're going to be interested in.
Oh, I mean,
I don't know.
What does that mean? I thought lesbians were like the tool people of our people.
Yeah, even.
Yeah. I would definitely be interested.
Yeah,
in those tools.
I love that.
All right,
yeah,
give a good reach around.
Well, another thing we wanted to talk about is Spotify was in the news this week.
Oh, all the hullabaloo this week.
Yeah.
All right.
They lost 19% of their stock value in a single day.
Wow. Now, was that Neil Young, or was that Brene Brown? I think that was probably Brene Brown.
It was all of. Well, I think it was Neil Young, and then Joni Mitchell, India Arie took her music off. Okay. Brene Brown.
And let's say, like, besides the point, Spotify is terrible to artists. Like, I just want to, you know, as a performer, like, you make stuff and it's all free at this point. Like, you put it out there and you hope for exposure, whatever. But
it's per stream. It's the lowest payment to artists. If you make music, it's the lowest payment out to artists than most other streaming.
But that was not Neil Young's point, as I learned when he was like, "Yeah, just go to Amazon and get my stuff." And I was like, "That is not a good look, Neil Young."
Tidal actually, I think, pays the artist the most.
Tidal?
Yeah.
And I've never heard of it. So there you
Tidal
go.
is owned. I think it's
Tidal, like Tidal. I thought you meant like Tidal, like the golf ball.
No. Okay. It's owned by
that was the most lesbian thing I've said today.
Jay-Z owns it and created it. Tidal? So it's owned by an artist, and I think they put a lot of input into it. But let's talk about the reason Spotify lost 20% of its stock value.
Because Joe Rogan had somebody. All right, so everybody's in a hullabaloo about Joe Rogan. Have you ever listened to the Joe Rogan Experience?
No.
Okay, I have listened to it. I've listened to Joe Rogan. I listened to Brene Brown. Like, I think I am the only person on the planet who listens to both of these podcasts.
I think that's great. Let's see what everyone's saying, and then you're a smart person. You can figure out what you want to think.
You have to. I mean, isn't that part of like? I think my biggest problem is that everyone's in a hullabaloo about the vaccination status, and yes, it does matter, and yes, it can kill people. But they seem to be overlooking his transphobia in a big way. Like, this also kills people, right? And I think he's a very smart guy. And I met him once or something. We shook hands at the Comedy Store. Like, he's a comic. I respect him. I've worked with people he works with. But like, this idea that like that we're not allowed to have these conversations. I think he should be able to kind of have these conversations. And I think also that it's not just about the vaccines. Does that make sense? Like, like there's other things
to be mad at Joe Rogan
about.
mad
at Joe Rogan about. And this one's important too, but I'm a little disappointed that like, this is the only thing that they're like, you're bad. I'm like, he literally says trans people don't exist. Right. Like, and this is a guy who takes testosterone every day. Right. Like, and that's the part where I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. And why we can't get him to grasp, again, the concept of spectrum. Right. That like, there's all different ways to man and there's all different ways to human. And
yeah, no, I hear that. I feel like years ago, it was like, you were allowed to debate.
Yes. Civil discourse.
Right.
What's that?
You were allowed to debate around like queer people, gay people, and that's kind of like not okay anymore. You can't deny their existence. And now like we're in this moment where you're allowed to debate, like you're allowed to have an opinion about whether trans people exist. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Whether you're allowed to debate whether someone exists that's standing right in front of you.
Exactly.
Right. Do we get to debate Florida? Oh, don't say gay. Do they have the don't say gay? Is that what's happening in Florida right now? That is insane. Yeah. Don't say gay. I mean, on one hand, I'm going to get picked on a lot less as a little kid, right? Does that mean that you can't call me names in school? Right. Will that be enforced? Because I'm really interested in that.
Probably not.
Like, no, right. Don't say gay unless you're demeaning another human being. And then you can say it all you want. Yeah. It's I'm interested in, I do think though, as an artist and as a comic, and primarily we are the free speech people, right? Like, where are we going to draw our lines if when we're performing on stage or doing a show, those are the lines where those are the spaces where we push the boundaries, right? Like when it's Kathy Griffin and the Trump head, right? Like that was a creative expression, and she suffered the consequences for that, right? I don't think she should have, right? And Joe Rogan, is he suffering some consequences? Yes. Do I think it's important that these things get talked through in a long format? I think it is. Like, I think it's important to have these discussions. I like the idea of a disclaimer up at the top, but I do worry that we're erasing the spaces to push boundaries because we're all afraid of getting canceled, right? Like I've fucked up a lot in my life, and eventually if I get really famous, I'm sure it'll come back. Right. Don't want me, and I don't care.
It's hard to have a microphone in your hand for an extended amount of time and not
do something that offends someone somewhere, right? And so I don't know. I'm really kind of trying to lean into like, what is your intent? I've seen people who make incredibly politically correct art be trash human beings, right? And I think that I would rather focus on the people who are good in their, like Tom Green, Doug Stanhope, all these straight white guys that I've performed with. I've seen them be phenomenal human beings, and they push buttons on stage. Yeah, that's what stage is for. Stage is to push the art to the boundaries, right? And we got to toughen up a little bit. Yeah. Now, I'm not into Joe Rogan saying I'm anti-vaccine, knowing he's vaccinated. I'm not into that. I'm not into. I'm not into Joe Rogan saying you could be like me and Joe Schmo who doesn't have health insurance, right? And all of the benefits of being a rich white guy, being like, I'm like Joe Rogan. No, dude, you're gonna die because Joe Rogan's got a chef. He doesn't have to leave the house. He's got a personal trainer.
Right. Yeah, I do think there has to be a line, and this is also something that needs to be discussed in depth, is like when the words you're saying are hurting people. Like if you're like Joe Rogan, it's the perfect example. He's out there saying don't get vaccinated, and the people that are going to listen to him have the potential to have like severe health issues because of that, and also the people around those people.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's more nuanced than that. Like, I'm not even sure if he's saying actually don't get vaccinated. He's like, this is what I'm doing, and other people are like, oh, I'm just like Joe.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, you're not.
You're not.
You're not just like Joe.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you're not. I'm excited to see what happens next. I liked Brene Brown. Brene Brown is like literally the only person powerful enough to have been like, hey, Spotify.
Not even Joni?
What's that?
Not
no,
Joni?
not today. Not, does Joni have 2 podcasts on Spotify right now? And so for her to go, and I loved the most that she was like, I'm just going to take a time out and reassess. And everybody's like, oh, you're doing this, like kind of piled reasons onto her. And I was like, no, that's why I love her. She's just like, we're going to think about this. We're going to research it. We're going to look at it. We're going to try to change some things. And so now we have disclaimers before our Spotify rapes their artists.
Think
Sorry,
more.
rapes is a strong word.
Right. Think more, I think is the
think more.
Right.
Think more, react less, or react slower.
Yeah.
Be okay being challenged in your own beliefs. You don't have to take them up, right? Like, I feel like it's okay to be like, oh, there's another perspective here. All right, listen to it. That's stupid. I listened to it. It's dumb. Great. Carry on, right? That's it. That's the end of the conversation. Oh, did I go so far left?
No.
I went right.
That's
always my biggest.
It always happens, right?
Come back.
Everything that's looked at as like a left to right scale, you don't realize the farther you go, it loops right
it's
back
all
around.
one big circle. The
Right.
farther, and that's where the scary part lies. That's where that's where I think like future elections, that's where the scary part lies.
Yikes.
Because instead of us bonding as humans, we're just like, what tribe are you on? Are you on
Exactly.
the right one? Okay,
right.
good, let's go.
And you saw that so much with COVID.
Oh yeah.
It was like your political affiliation boiled down to how you were interacting with this epidemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're
Did
not
we
gonna,
do it?
we're not going to get to the bottom of that today.
Are you
but
sure we can solve it?
in a last little bit of local news, I wanted to congratulate a few people. Stephen Hanks is the new executive director of the Provincetown Business Guild. A big thank you to Bob Sanborn for doing some really great work over the past few years. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be looking forward to seeing you in the streets of Provincetown, enjoying everything. Congratulations, Steve Hanks, and also a super special congratulations to our very own Trevor Pittenger. He is going to be the associate director of the Provincetown Business Guild and work in tandem with Stephen to make some really incredible events, push everything even farther than the incredible work that the Provincetown Business Guild has been doing over the last few decades. We're super excited to see everything you do, Trevor.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
I
filling
had a
in
great
for
time.
some big shoes today.
It was a hard. I was nervous.
Yeah.
Thank goodness Bob was here.
Yeah.
Bob the queer lamp.
Yeah.
To the lamp queen, Bob the lamp queen, was here behind us to make sure that I stayed in line.
Yeah.
And, I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Be Well Cannabis, The Red Inn.
Wait, we get weed?
No.
Oh.
Be Well Cannabis, The Red Inn, Cafe Heaven, the Adam Howard Metal Workshop, Project Valor Sailing. I think I got them all.
Yeah, you were perfect. You were great. I loved it.
And we'll see you next Friday. Thanks for waking up in Provincetown, wherever you are.
Wherever you are. Sorry, I didn't know. Wow. No one told me there was a group thing at the end.
Yeah. We'll see you next
Good
Friday.
morning, everybody.
We'll see you next Friday.
Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown.